Every time you react, they win. Every time you stay calm, they lose direction. What if the smartest way to deal with the toxic people in your life wasn't to fight back, but to become so centered that they simply can't reach you? This isn't about blocking them. It's about building a fortress inside your mind that they cannot breach. Here's the hard truth most people avoid. Toxic people are not your biggest problem. Your reaction to them is. You can change your job, move to a new city, or cut off a friend, but you can't run from an internal weakness. A new person will just show up and trigger the same old wound because the problem was never them. It was your lack of emotional armor. Imagine your mind as a fortress. Toxic people are at the gates firing their arrows, insults, passive-aggressive comments, guilt trips. The common mistake is thinking the arrows are the problem. They're not. The problem is that every time you react, every time you feel that surge of anger or defensiveness, you are willingly lowering the drawbridge and letting them walk right in. They don't have to break down your walls because you keep giving them the key. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it best. It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about them. The arrow itself is just wood and metal. It's your judgment that you've been harmed that causes the pain. Their words are just sound waves until you decide they are an attack. So your first mission is not to fight back. It's to become the gatekeeper of your own fortress. For 1 week, just watch the gate. When they fire an arrow, just notice your hand instinctively reaching for the lever to lower the bridge. Notice the urge to react, to defend, to explain. You don't have to stop it. Just notice. This awareness is the first step to reclaiming your power. But why is our first instinct always to lower the bridge? Why are we so vulnerable to their attacks? To win this battle, you have to understand the enemy's tactics and your own weaknesses. In the next part, we'll break down the rules of this emotional game. To defend your fortress, you must understand the battle. This isn't a random attack. It's a game with specific rules. They have a strategy, and you have a vulnerability. Let's break down both. First, their strategy. Let's get one thing clear. Toxic people are not powerful. They are simply practiced. They have spent their entire lives perfecting the art of emotional manipulation. They intuitively know what tones create guilt and what words trigger insecurity. Think of it like this. You are stepping into a boxing ring with a trained fighter. They've spent years learning where to chew in, how to find your weak spots. You, on the other hand, have never learned to even put up your guard. So when you get hit, it's not because you are weak. It is because you are untrained. But their jabs would have no power if they didn't hit a specific, vulnerable target. Their real weapon isn't their skill. It's your own inner vulnerability. And for most of us, that vulnerability is a deep-seated craving for their approval. We don't react because they're right. We react because our ego is fragile. We feel attacked and we scramble to defend ourselves. We feel misunderstood and we beg to be seen. We want them to validate our feelings, to recognize our goodness, to finally admit they were wrong. We crave closure from people who are committed to misunderstanding us. This is the game. They play an emotional game of manipulation, while you are trying to play a logical game of being understood. You cannot win their game. The only way to win is to stop playing. So here is your practice for this week. It's called Identify the Craving. Every time you feel that powerful urge to react to them, to explain, to argue, to defend, pause. Ask yourself this one question. What validation am I craving from this person right now? Are you craving for them to say you're right, or you're a good person, or I'm sorry? Just identifying the specific approval you're seeking exposes the game. It's the first step to realizing you can give that validation to yourself, and you don't need it from them. Once you see the game, you can change your strategy. If reacting is how you lose, then what is the strategy for winning? It is a weapon so powerful they have no defense against it. It is the art of stillness. And that is exactly what we are mastering next. You see the game. You know their strategy is manipulation, and your vulnerability is a craving for their approval. So how do you walk away from the chessboard? You do it by deploying the most underestimated and powerful weapon in human interaction: stillness. You master the art of non-reaction. Think of toxic people like a fire. They need oxygen to burn. Your anger is oxygen. Your defensiveness is oxygen. Your long, desperate explanations are oxygen. As the source material states, they feed on your reaction. Non-reaction is how you cut off their air supply. We've been taught that if you don't yell back or defend yourself, you're being the weak doormat. This is wrong. Reacting isn't strength, it's a reflex, a conditioned response. True strength is the discipline to consciously choose your response, to choose peace over petty fights. Imagine you're in a work meeting. A colleague makes a passive-aggressive quote clearly aimed at you. Well, some of us double-check our work. You feel that familiar heat rise in your chest. The old you, the untrained you, would immediately jump in to defend yourself, to explain, to argue. But the new you, the trained you, does nothing. You pause. You breathe. You look them in the eye, not with anger, but with a calm, unshakable stillness. You don't engage their bait. You simply continue making your point with clarity and focus. What happens? Your calmness becomes a mirror. It doesn't reflect your weakness. It exposes their chaos for everyone in the room to see. They were expecting a fight, and you gave them nothing but composure. In that moment, you didn't just win, you transcended their entire game. Your stillness is not weakness, it is a strategy. It communicates that you are so grounded in your own self-worth that their opinion is irrelevant. It shows that you value your inner peace more than your need to win a pointless argument. So here is your training for this week. It's called Choose Peace Over Proof. The next time someone tries to bait you into an argument or a drama, I want you to pause and silently ask yourself this one question. In this moment, what is more important to me? My peace or my need to prove a point? Sometimes you'll still choose proof, and that's okay. This is a practice. But just asking the question begins to build the muscle of conscious choice. You're no longer a reflex, you are becoming a strategist. But be warned, when you start practicing this stillness, when you stop providing the reaction they are addicted to, they will not just quietly give up. They will fight back. They will escalate. This predictable phase is what makes most people crumble, but you will be prepared for it. In the next part, we'll cover exactly why they get worse before they fade away, and how to hold your ground when the storm gets louder. You've started practicing stillness. You're choosing peace over proof. But now something strange and alarming is happening. They're getting worse, louder, more aggressive, more manipulative. You feel like your new strategy is failing spectacularly. It's not. This is a predictable tactical response. And understanding it is the key to winning the war, not just the battle. This phase is known in psychology as an extinction burst. It's what happens when a behavior that used to get a reward suddenly gets nothing. Imagine a child who has learned that screaming gets them a cookie. One day you decide to stop giving them cookies when they scream. Do they stop screaming? No, they scream louder, longer, and more intensely than ever before. They are escalating their behavior to get the reward they've come to expect. Toxic people are the same. Your emotional reaction is their cookie. When you stop reacting, they feel their control over you slipping, and they panic. As the source text explains, they don't fear confrontation. They fear irrelevance. So they escalate their attacks to pull you back into the chaos. They'll say more cruel things. They will twist the narrative to make you the villain. They will weaponize your past against you. They'll send a barrage of texts, first playing the victim, then accusing you of being cold or having changed. The biggest mistake you can make here is to misinterpret their chaos as connection. You think to yourself, they're fighting so hard for my attention, they must really care. This is a dangerous trap. They are not fighting for you, they are fighting for control over you. They are not checking in on you. As the source text says, they are checking your boundaries, testing if your newfound peace is real or just a temporary bluff. Here is the lesson you must burn into your mind. The storm always gets loudest right before it dies out. Their escalation is not a sign that your stillness is failing. It is the ultimate sign that it is working. It is the sound of their power over you breaking apart. It is the desperate, frantic screaming of a child who realizes they are not getting the cookie anymore. So your practice during this phase is simple, but it is not easy. You must hold the line. When their storm hits, your only job is to be the lighthouse. You don't fight the waves. You don't yell back at the wind. You just stand firm in your calm, rooted in your discipline, and let their chaos crash against you until it completely exhausts itself. Recognize their escalation for what it is, a panic move, and refuse to give them the reaction they are begging for. Holding the line with silence is a powerful internal strategy. But what happens when you're in a situation where you can't just ignore them, like with a boss, a family member you live with, or a co-parent? You need more than just internal defense. You need practical, verbal tools to enforce your peace. In the next part, we'll move beyond silence and learn the advanced Stoic tactics for setting firm, calm, verbal boundaries. Holding the line with silence is your foundational defense, but sometimes it isn't a practical option. You can't just silently stare at your boss during a performance review or ignore a co-parent you need to coordinate with. For these situations where you can't walk away, you need to upgrade your toolkit. You need to learn the art of setting firm, calm, verbal boundaries. A verbal boundary is not an argument. It is not an emotional plea. It is a simple, clear statement of what you will and will not accept. Think of it as a verbal fence you build around your peace. The common mistake is to do one of two things. Either say nothing and let your fence be trampled, or explode with anger, which just throws you into their chaos. The Stoic approach is the middle path, firm, calm, and deliberate. Here are some scripts you can adapt. To stop an attack, I am not going to continue this conversation while you are speaking to me in that tone. To redirect the conversation, we can discuss the project, but I will not engage with personal comments. To end the conversation entirely, I can see you're upset. Let's talk about this later when we're both calm. The words are only half of it. The power is in the delivery, a steady voice, direct eye contact, and relaxed posture. You are not reacting out of fear. You are responding with intentional strength. Now, when you start building these fences, Be prepared for the fallout. The toxic person will likely paint you as the villain. You've changed. You're being so cold and difficult. They may even enlist other people to pressure you on their behalf. These are the friends or family members who come to you saying, "Can't you just apologize to make peace?" The mistake here is to start defending your boundary to these third parties. The moment you start explaining and justifying yourself, you've been dragged right back into the drama. Here is the lesson. Your peace is non-negotiable. You do not need a committee to approve your boundaries. You don't owe anyone a lengthy explanation for protecting your own mind. Your practice is to develop a simple, repeatable script for this fallout. For anyone trying to pull you back into the drama, a calm and final statement works best. Something like, "My relationship with that person is between us, and I'm not going to discuss it with you." Say it calmly and then change the subject. Do not engage further. This protects your boundary and your energy. Setting these external boundaries is a crucial skill. But even with a perfect fence, the final battle isn't over. What happens when you've gone no contact, you've set your boundaries, but they are still living rent-free inside your head? This is the last and most important battleground. In our final part, we will learn how to achieve true internal freedom and turn the pain they caused into your greatest source of power. You've done everything right. You've stopped reacting. You've set firm boundaries. You might have even gone no contact. The external drama is over. So why do they still have a voice inside your head? Why are you still replaying the arguments and feeling the guilt? This is the final, most important battle, achieving true internal freedom. Here is the hard truth no one likes to admit. You can block their number and delete their photos, but if they still live rent-free inside your mind, they still win. It was never just about physical distance. It was always about emotional attachment. The common mistake is thinking that no contact is the end of the work. The real work is cutting off the mental replay, the rumination, the guilt. You're still waiting for an apology that will never come, still hoping they'll wake up and say you were right. But they already know. They just don't care. The Stoics offer a third path beyond suppressing the pain or drowning in it. You transform it. The great emperor Marcus Aurelius said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This is a form of emotional alchemy. You take the raw, toxic material of their hurt, the rejection, the shame, the betrayal, and you use it as fuel. You don't scream back at them. You build in silence. You don't argue for validation. You validate yourself through your own progress and mastery. You channel every ounce of that pain into your work, your health, and your purpose. The pain they caused is not your shame. It is now your source code. Your greatest revenge is not a confrontation. It is your evolution. It's building a life so peaceful and purpose-driven that they become an irrelevant footnote in your story, not the headline. True detachment is when their name is finally met with indifference, not emotion. This has been the journey to becoming untouchable, not by building walls, but by building a fortress within yourself. You win not by reacting, but by rising. So I will leave you with this final question, and I truly want to see your answer in the comments. What is one thing you are going to build with the energy you are now reclaiming? If this guide resonated with you, hitting the like button helps others find their own strength. And to continue sharpening your mindset, subscribe to the channel because peace isn't just a mood, it's a discipline we build together. Remember, the smartest way to deal with toxic people was never to beat them. It was to become someone they could no longer touch.